37-year-old Jason Crawford was waiting for them on the driveway next to his family van. Inside the van, officers found 32-year-old Tiffany Crawford slumped over in the driver's seat. "Who is it?" "It's my wife." She had two visible gunshot wounds, one to the left side of her chin and the other to her left temple. They immediately asked Jason where the gun was and checked Tiffany for a pulse. "Where's the gun, sir?" "It's right here in her hand." M1070. "Is there a pulse?" "I can't find a pulse." "You come over here and check." "I don't have a pulse." "She's right here." She's gone." Tragically, it was clear that Tiffany had already passed away. But there was still hope as EMS was in hot pursuit to the residence, intent on re-establishing a heartbeat. "EMS on the way." "Okay." As they waited, deputies asked Jason to explain what happened leading up to Tiffany's death. "What happened tonight?" We were arguing. I gave her her stuff so she can go. I didn't let her in the house. The last thing I remember, she said she loved me. And I was going in the house and I heard a shot, a scream, and then another shot." Here's a slightly more detailed version of what Jason just said. About a half hour earlier, at around 10:30 p.m., Tiffany returned home with the kids. After the kids ran inside, an argument broke out between Jason and Tiffany. Apparently, Jason was so upset that he refused to let Tiffany into the house. He told her to wait outside while he gathered some of her clothes and her work uniform so she could leave for the night. He then said that as he walked away, he heard Tiffany saying that she loved him. Suddenly, he heard a gunshot followed by a loud scream and then another shot. He quickly ran back outside and found Tiffany curled up inside the van with the door closed. That's when he immediately dialed 911. 911. "Where is your emergency? I need someone to come out here to my house. Police or medical?" My wife is shot." "Tell me exactly what's going on." "My wife has been shot. She's in her van." "Sir, is she breathing?" "I don't know." "Who has she been shot by?" "Where has she been shot?" "She's been shot in the head." "Who shot her in the head?" "I'm trying to turn the lights on, so I can see." "Where's the gun at?" "It's Lametta." Clearly, Jason was acting suspicious from the second he dialed 911. Instead of answering who he believed shot his wife, he just let out an airy sigh and moved on. "Who shot her in the head?" "I need someone out here, please." But once officers were on the scene, he became much more forthcoming. Instead of dodging questions, he told them exactly what he believed happened. He stated that if Tiffany didn't pull the trigger, it must have been an unknown assailant. But before the deputies could dig any deeper into these theories, the EMTs finally arrived on the scene, eager to bring Tiffany back to life. "Stay back here. What they're going to do is try to determine if they can get a pulse." "Okay. Open a bag. Give me some trauma shoes. Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Close. Check airway. Check breathing. Check circulation. Analyzing heart rhythm to check circulation." As Tiffany was receiving medical care, the deputies decided to follow up on some of Jason's statements. They wondered if an event like this was predictable for Tiffany. "Mr. C." "Yes, sir." "How old is she?" She's about 33. They're working on her." "I didn't build one, but they're working on her." "Okay. Is that her gun that she kept with her?" "Yes, she's kept it in the door." "Any kind of mental problems from in the past?" No. I mean, she's seeing a counselor." "I didn't know that till today." This comment raised some red flags for the deputies. Did Tiffany really go behind Jason's back to get counseling? If so, why? They wondered if there were escalating problems within the relationship, which led to Tiffany's death. Because of this inkling, they decided to check the records for any domestic disputes between Jason and Tiffany. And although there was nothing of interest, they did discover that Jason had deep ties to law enforcement. He was actually the son of Rhonda Crawford, the head of management at the county's public records office. It's Rhonda's daughter-in-law. His mother works in records across from the sheriff's office. Oh shoot! Rhonda was then called to the scene, and just as she arrived at 11:38 p.m. EMS officially declared Tiffany deceased. It now 2338. "Yeah, doctor at CRNC just told him to call us." Jason and Rhonda immediately started calling Tiffany's family to deliver the tragic news. While they did, investigators examined the van for any potential clues. They discovered fingerprints on the pink revolver, 2 spent bullet casings to extend into 3 labs, blood spatter, and a journal that belonged to Tiffany. They also found gunshot residue on Tiffany's hands and clothing. They collected all of this evidence for forensic analysis. While speaking to the neighbors, investigators learned that Tiffany was heavily involved in volunteering at local community events and was even the founder of an online group called Mothers Helping Mothers. MHM is a community for all moms of all walks of life. It doesn't matter your background. We want to be there to love and support you. We're there to laugh with each other, to love each other, and to just build you up in everyday motherhood. Considering how dedicated and passionate she was about her community, authorities wondered who would want to kill Tiffany and why. After inspecting the body on site, the coroner believed that the presence of 2 bullet wounds meant that this was almost certainly a homicide, and that the gun must have been placed in her hand after Tiffany was already dead. Tiffany's body was then transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences for an autopsy. The next morning on May 3, 2017, the case was handed over to the Alabama State Bureau of Investigation and Detective Joe Parrish was put in charge. To begin his investigation, he planned on taking a look at Tiffany Crawford's van for himself. But to his surprise, the Coleman Sheriff's Office had already returned the van to the Crawford family the night before. Parrish was still able to quickly track down the vehicle and examine it. But strangely, Jason had already thoroughly cleaned it, and apparently he had actually gotten permission from the sheriff's office to do so. Jason stated that the reason he cleaned the van so quickly was that he didn't want his kids to see any remnants of the horrible murder that took place inside of it. Detective Parrish confirmed that Jason did in fact have permission to clean the vehicle. But he couldn't help but wonder if Jason received special treatment due to his connection with law enforcement. However, since there wasn't any proof of corruption, he had no choice but to move on with his investigation. He diverted his focus to carefully reviewing the 911 call and noticed that Jason sounded calculated when answering some of the questions and may have been avoiding other questions altogether like this one. Who has she been shot by, please? I need someone here, please. 7 days after Tiffany was shot dead, Detective Parrish asked Jason to come down to the station for an interview with the State Bureau Investigation. During this interview, Jason spoke about his relationship with Tiffany. While Detective Parrish continued questioning Jason about the details of that night, there was one detail that stood out. Was she left or right? She's right-handed. Tiffany being right-handed is significant because the weapon was in her left hand when deputies arrived at the scene. Where's the gun, sir? It's right here in her hand. This finding further indicated that the crime scene had been staged. Should I left him? Like depending what y'all get? No, not really. The only thing I can think of is just because it was right there and she just reached and grabbed it. Did you shoot your wife? No. The interview was wrapped up, but before leaving the station, Jason surrendered his phone to the authorities. However, the phone was clean as there was nothing incriminating on it. 19 days later, there had been no new developments in the case. So Jason was brought back in for further questioning and agreed to take a polygraph test. A test has begun. Please remain still. Did you shoot Tiffany Crawford? No. Did you shoot Tiffany Crawford in the head? No. Did you shoot Tiffany Crawford inside that van? No. The polygraph test was concluded, and the examiner was certain that Jason was being deceptive. Your reactions were off the chain. Okay. You're saying that there's no way that you shot your wife. Correct. Even after being called out for his deplorable polygraph results, Jason continued to firmly maintain his innocence. I don't want to hear that I didn't shoot my wife because I know it's a lie. He then did something we almost never see in an interrogation. He clarified that he wasn't under arrest and walked out. I can't get up and leave because I'm under arrest. Right. Can you listen to me? Huh? Walk out that you know what? A failed polygraph wasn't substantial enough to warrant an arrest. Months went by with no significant discoveries in Tiffany's case. During this time, the community of Coleman County gathered to celebrate her life. People shared fond memories of Tiffany's kind spirit and dedication to helping others. She's probably one of the most encouraging human beings I've ever met in my entire life. I have always said that Tiffany and I are like 2 peas in a pot. I don't know how to go on without her, but I'm going to try for my grandchildren. Her heart was so big and bursting with love. She would do anything to help anyone in need. So kind and caring and compassionate. With the help of Tiffany's friends and members of Moms Helping Moms, a bench in Sportsman Lake Park was dedicated to Tiffany. This weekend, Tiffany's friends dedicated a new bench in her memory in Sportsman Lake Park. It's purple, her favorite color. A perfect way to remember her because this means, if you sit on the bench, then you want a friend, you need a friend, and someone comes sit with you and you're never alone. It was evident that the community not only wanted to honor Tiffany's memory, but also yearned for answers surrounding her untimely death. Due to a backlog in the Alabama State Crime Lab, about a year passed before authorities finally received Tiffany's autopsy report on March 8, 2018. Dr. Valerie Green, the medical examiner, confirmed her initial observations, stating that Tiffany's manner of death was homicide, directly contradicting Jason's story. Jason said that the car door was closed and that he found Tiffany with the gun in her left hand. The absence of gunshot residue and abrasions around the wound on the left side of Tiffany's head indicated that the shot was fired from at least 10 in away. If the door was closed like Jason said it was, there would have been less than 10 in of space. Not only that, but if the door was closed, it certainly would have been covered in the victim's blood. However, there was no blood on the driver's side door at all. To the detectives, these results were irrefutable proof that Jason's story was impossible. They now had even more reason to believe that Jason had murdered his wife in cold blood. While the autopsy report was a much-needed win for the detectives, there was still no physical evidence that Jason was the one who fired the gun. However, Detective Parrish and Coleman County prosecutors believed that they had enough circumstantial evidence to take the case to a grand jury. After a thorough review, the grand jury found sufficient grounds to indict Jason Crawford. He was officially charged with first-degree murder. On Monday, May 21, 2018, Jason turned himself in. Jason Dwayne Crawford has been indicted for murder by a grand jury. According to the sheriff's office, Crawford turned himself in here at the Coleman County Detention Center today. He was booked and then posted a $100,000 property bond. At his arraignment hearing, he pled not guilty. He was then escorted to the Coleman County Detention Center. However, since he immediately posted his bond, he was released after just 30 minutes. While out on bail, the Coleman community, which included Tiffany's family, continued to support Jason. They truly believed that he did not commit the disturbing crime that he was accused of. After several delays, the trial finally commenced on Monday, November 14, 2022. It had been over 5 years since Tiffany's death, and although family and friends believed in Jason's innocence, they were all eager for details of the investigation to come to light. In State Prosecutor Jeff Roberts' opening statement, he meticulously laid out the case against Jason. He said that it was physically impossible for the shooting to be anything but a homicide, and Jason was the only person who had a clear motive to get revenge for Tiffany cheating on him. They pointed out his suspicious behavior throughout the investigation, including his avoidance of important questions during the 911 call. Who shot her in the head? And the conflicting statement he made about the gun laying next to her. Where's the gun at? It's laying beside her, which in reality was actually in Tiffany's left hand when the cops found her. Where's the gun, sir? It's right here in her hand. They also pointed out that he refused to be tested for gunshot residue and cleaned the van spotless as soon as it was released back to him. The state called DNA analyst Angela Fletcher to the stand. Since only a trace amount of male DNA was detected on the gun, she couldn't confirm whether or not it belonged to Jason. The prosecutor suggested that there was hardly any DNA on the gun because Jason had cleaned it before staging the scene. There was also no blood on the driver's side door, which is consistent with Jason standing outside the van and shooting Tiffany while the door was open. However, the defense argued that there was still no physical evidence to directly link Jason to the shooting. They believed that the incompetence of the sheriff's office is why Jason was never ruled out as a suspect. For example, the trace amount of male DNA could have belonged to an unknown assailant. But the deputies had tunnel vision on Jason and didn't properly investigate that possibility. They emphasized that the police should have forced Jason to be tested for gunshot residue. They also should have searched for any bloody clothes inside Jason's house. The defense also claimed that Jason was inside the house when the shots were fired, which was corroborated by Jason's eldest son during his testimony. To address the claims from the prosecution's medical examiner, the defense hired their own medical examiner, Dr. James Lauritsen. Despite the fact that there were 2 gunshot wounds, he believed that this was not a homicide. While one half of the defense's case was tackling the accusations against Jason, the other half focused on Tiffany's state of mind at the time of her death. It turned out that Tiffany's friends confirmed Jason's claims that she had been drinking excessively. Apparently, she was upset because the man she had an affair with had recently broken up with her. She even started seeing a counselor to address her mental instability. Her first appointment was the day before she died. Portions of Tiffany's diary were read aloud to the jury. In one of the entries, she wrote that she was trying not to break down. The entry was dated May 2, 2017, the same day as the shooting. The last person the defense called to the stand was Jason himself. He spoke with compelling emotion, insisting that he loved Tiffany and vehemently denied any involvement in her death.